Hello, spellers. Ready to get going with me on lesson 3 today? So you'll notice in my notebook, right, here's lesson 2, our work from yesterday. So I'm going to my next empty page, which is right next to it, and I'm going to work today on lesson 3. So the first thing I'm noticing, I need to fold my page. So I'm going to fold it and then make my crease. Open it back up. If I want to, I could draw a line right down there, just kind of marking where I'm at. I also want to take a moment to make sure I have a nice sharpened pencil. This one's not too sharp, so I'm going to trade it and sharpen it later. This one's a little bit better. It always helps to write neatly and beautifully if you have a sharpened pencil. Our month is still September, so 9-11, the 11th of September. And the year is still 2020. Our first word today is the word jail. So I'm going to beautifully write jail. I want to do a syllable check on that word. Remember, hand under chin works really well. How many times has your jaw moved down, right? Ready? Jail. One syllable. First sound, J, made by J. Notice I'm at my fold line for my analysis. Next sound, A, made by AI. Can you remember what we're going to do? Did you say underline? Very good. We have a multiple letter phonogram. Say it with me. A, two-letter A, that we do not use at the end of English words. Final sound, L, made by L, jail. Jail. Our second word. Comfortably close to that red margin, our next word, scholars, is the word shed. Clara keeps her lawnmower in the shed. Shed. Syllable check. Shed. One syllable. First sound, sh, made by SH. Spellers, did you remember we're going to underline that SH, right? It's a multiple letter phonogram. It has more than one letter. That is shh, baby sleeping. Next sound, F, made by E. Final sound, D, made by D. Sh, D, shed. So jail, shed. Neither of those have any rules for us to write. So we're already to our third word. Back here to the red margin, scholars, we're going to write the word aboard. Aboard. The train conductor called out, "All aboard!" as the train was getting ready to leave the station. Aboard. Let's check our syllables on that. Ready? Aboard. Two syllables. First sound, A, made by A. Scholars, we're going to underline that A. It's saying its name sound, right? A, board. That's the end of the first syllable. Finger space. Next sound, B, made by B. Next sound, O. Made by OA. Did you get that? And what are we going to do? Right, we're going to underline it. Scholars, that multiple letter phonogram, you might remember it from last year, is O, the O of boat. And a good way to remember that when spelling, right, is how many people were aboard the boat, right? O, the O of boat. Next sound, R. Made by R. Final sound, D. Made by D. A. Board. And this kind of board, right, is like they used a board to lay over the waterway to walk across. Right? Not the board like I'm bored with Mr. Long's lesson, which of course you could not be. A board. Board. There's a rule in a board before we move on, scholars. Think for a moment. Can you find the rule? Hint, it's in the first syllable. Let's see if you got it. It's the A-E-O-U rule. A, E, O, and U usually say A, E, O, and U at the end of a syllable. A board. Our last required word, scholars, is the word refuse. I refuse to believe we're almost finished with spelling already. Refuse. Syllable check. Refuse. 2 syllables. First sound, R. Made by R. Next sound, E. Made by E. We're going to underline. That E is saying its name sound. It's an E saying E. Re. Scholars, we are already finished with the first syllable. Finger space. Next sound, F. Made by F. Next sound, U. Made by U. We're going to underline that U. It's saying its name sound. Scholars, that phonogram is U, oo, Refuse. Final sound, Z. Ooh, be careful. Made by S. With a tiny 2 above it. It's the second sound of the S. Refuse. Refuse. But I refuse to let us move on without the correct spelling. We need a silent final E. Take a moment. Can you figure out which silent final E it is? Did you say the VCE rule? I sure hope so. It's the villainous E, right? Jumping over that consonant, right? Vowel, consonant, silent E, scaring that U into saying its name sound. The VCE rule. Refuse. But scholars, we have another rule as well. Right here. Did you already think of it? It's the A-E-O-U rule again. This time we have an E saying its name sound at the end of the syllable. A, E, O, and U. Usually say A, E, O, and U at the end of a syllable. Refuse. Then, scholars, our bonus word for today, right? That B in circle for bonus is the word navigation. We learned in our history lesson that explorers, right, sailors, crew members on ships used the stars, the sun, and the moon to help with navigation on where it was they were going as they crossed the very vast oceans and went looking for the Spice Islands, for example. Navigation. Good work. Now, scholars, this bottom part today, remember this part is optional, so you can think for a moment if you would like to do that. I sure hope you would, or are interested, because that's kind of where our creativity and I think a little bit of fun can come in. So, what I think you should do today, let's go with the word shed. Right? Design yourself a shed. So I'm going to write Mr. Long's shed. And I'm going to design my shed. What would I keep in my shed? I'll do some thinking about that. You can check the sample link to see what I ended up doing. Scholars, remember, after you're finished with this, be sure to do the spelling assignment and submit it. And if you'd like, ask your family to quiz you on today's words and even previous words, right? Keep up that great spelling work while we're doing our distance learning. Bye, scholars. See you for our next spelling lesson.